and Mr. Shine, our BIM expert, will be able to take you through the entire presentation. We will try our presentation to keep it, near to around 30 to 40 minutes. And we will probably have a question and answer session for 10 to 15 minutes. And then we'll have 5 minutes for, the feedback form. Feedback form is very critical because that is what will allow every participant to get the, participant certificate, and also the lucky draw, entrance. So feel free to ask any questions by end of the session so that we will be able to answer it to you. And please do fill the feedback form so that you will be participating in the lucky draw. Thank you very much once again for a valuable time you have taken from your busy schedule to attend our webinar series. Really thankful to you. Over to you, Shine.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. So I hope my audio is fine. I will also encourage all of the participants to scan this QR code. It will take you to one link where there will be some questions, some queries. So we will help you. I mean, it will be helping for our webinar as well. So don't worry about it. It will be displayed again. So we will start with our session, switch from CAD. So one thing I want to tell you all that it's a series of webinar that we are doing on Archicad Solo. So today is the first session that we will be dealing with switching from CAD. In the next session, we will have switch from SketchUp, or you can also consider it switch from many of the modeling software. Also, there is a third session on 29th May where there is alternate to Revit or alternate to another BIM softwares that we have. Then on the last session that we'll be conducting will be on 12th of June. That will be coordination and collaboration with respect to Solo, Archicad Solo. So this is what we will be looking into throughout the session. First part, we will have certain introduction, and then we will also covering differences of 2D, 3D, and BIM in overall concept. And then also what is Archicad Solo. We will be doing a modeling in Solo as well. And we will be also dealing with documentation in Solo, continuing to publishing in Solo. We will also introduce BIMx as a starting part of the series today. Also, we will be talking about how we're going to go forward with the same thing. So, Satish sir already introduced me. So I'm architect Shine Joseph. I also work as architect, interior designer. I'm also done with my master's in planning. I do computational design as well. I'm also into teaching, and BIM is part of my core work of it. So talking about Cosmic Star, we already gave an introduction, but I would like to introduce it again, telling that we are completely into software solutions that is enabling our AEC industry. So you can always contact us regarding any of the doubts or information that you need for this. First thing is that, like I mentioned, what is 2D, 3D, and then BIM. So like we all know, there is a timeline to this BIM that we had. So initial stages, when we go back more than 50 years, it was always in a paper, and then we updated to a 2D software that do CAD. So 2D actually helps us doing certain level of information, but then it lacks depth. Depth in the sense there is a three-dimensional aspect of it is very minimal. It's not that it is not there, but it is there, but in a very minimal aspect. But when it comes to 3D, it is an updated stage where you have three dimensions of a model or a project that you have, but then information has a limit that you can add into a 3D model. So many of the 3D softwares that we have around will be talking only about model surfaces, dimensions, but there are more to an object when it comes to our AEC industry. Then comes to the last part where we are right now, that is BIM. Though BIM concept was as old as 40 years, more than 40 years, Graphisoft Archicad has been there from 40 years, and it has been doing a very good amount of work in the industry in terms of specifically BIM. It was known as virtual building, but then now we have coined this term BIM, building information modeling, and we are working with that. So when we climb up the ladder of our AEC or BIM maturity, we will be getting more and more layer of information to a specific model. We are specifically going into the modeling aspect of the BIM here. Now, introducing BIM. BIM is not just a building or not just having a model that has information, but it is more than having an information. It also have a time associated information. So starting from your concept stage and all the way into even demolition part of it and maintenance part of it, it covers all the aspect of a project. So that is what a BIM is in a nutshell. So you have every single information that is required for the design, construction, modeling, and then maintenance of the project, and even for the demolition. If it is not, we would not consider it as a BIM model specifically when we are talking here. Now, talking about Archicad and Archicad Solo. So there are two specific solutions. So we are focusing into Archicad Solo, where it is a version of Archicad itself, where it is mainly designed for individual users. Also, it can be used by a team as well, where there are certain functionalities that makes it really good when it comes to its cost effectiveness, and then when it comes to its performance. It's almost as same as what is there in Archicad. It has file compatibility that same as what Archicad does. It also uses renovation filters, design options, quantities, and material takeoffs, and different other aspect of this. Also, BIMx is associated along with that. So BIMx is always part of Archicad, whether it is for Archicad version or Archicad Solo version. Import and export also completely same as how we have it in the full version. The only limitation that we have is there is no teamwork, there is no hot link option, and also no XRF attachment. Also, there is no rendering. So these are the different things that we have when it comes to Archicad Solo. So it's kind of a complete modeling software. Even with that small version that we call it Archicad Solo, we will be able to achieve what we want in no time. So we will be going through these main steps today for this session. We will also be continuing the same project and developing it over the four series of episodes of this series. First part is we'll be modeling it in a Solo, a basic model, and then we will be looking into structure, skeleton, and interior aspect of it in a nutshell. And then we will also doing documentation when it comes to creating GFCs or schematic drawings and details like that. Also, at the final stage, we'll be looking at BIMx, how we can create a BIMx model and visualize it. So we will be going through Archicad Solo. Yes, so this is the Archicad Solo, how it is. When we open, we will have the name specifically telling that this is Archicad Solo. So there is an option for us to work on the interface. So we call it work environment, where the whole setting of it changes. Usually when we open, the interface will look like this, but you have the option of customizing how you want it and then convert it to something that is really comfortable for you to work. So this is something we have customized and created for the workflow so that we can do it easy, and all the tools are within the screen itself. So we have our design tools, we have our MEP based tools, we have our structure based tools. There is also documentation dedicated to the 3D drafting tools. Also, there is viewport based tools where we take sections from an existing the created model, or elevations or interior elevations, details, and documentation. So all the options are already available within this itself. Also continuing to that, we have view map and a project map, layouts and publisher sets, which are coming under navigator and organizer, and also some of the quick settings around which will be helping us to view the canvas, or whether it is 3D or 2D. So I won't be going much into the interface aspect of it. We will be directly starting the project. So one workflow that we are following today is considering we have a design DWG file, and we will be adding the DWG file into this, and we will be starting. I'll also show another option of working with it alongside. So we have a DWG file that we have created. So just like many of the software that allows us to do drag and drop, we will be dragging and dropping a drawing. It will ask us on what unit it has been worked on. So I'm considering it as a millimeter and I'm placing it. So this is how a CAD drawing that loads into. So the limit, whatever it is, we are getting it directly. We can also limit how much we want to see and work with that as well. There are additional features to this CAD file where, of course, CAD works with layers. So we can work on CAD layer and specifically turn on and turn off and work with it. So it will be speeding up your process if you don't want to see certain elements. Now, the next aspect is that we'll be just checking what is this dimension here. So the shortcut key is M for measure, and it will be taking us and telling it is 51 feet and 4 inches, and it is exactly how it is been drafted in the CAD file. Also, we will be looking at what is the size of the wall. So it is telling me that it is 8 inches. So we will be using the same dimension to create. So the first thing that we have is right now we have added into the ground floor, and then what we will be doing is setting up the project level. So story setting, so shortcut is Control 7. It will take us to a story setting where we can name it. So right now I'm considering ground floor as the starting level, and then we can also put first floor or for this project, we can consider it as mezzanine as well. So, and then probably the last level is roof level. So I will just mention it as roof level. Third thing is that we can also set up the heights of it. So I'm considering 8 feet as the ground floor to first floor height that we have. And after that, again, I'll be working with 8 feet itself to continue. So it will be automatically doing rest of the work of measuring the elevations and details. Once it is set, it will get back to our ground floor plan itself. And now we can switch between each of the floor plan within the project now. So we will be starting directly the modeling part of it. So first thing I'll be doing is I'll be doing a slab around the model, considering which part is meant to be. So this is the workflow that we work with Archicad. So we take the tools. So right now you can see there is wall tool, column tool, beam tool, slab tool, and roof tool, etc. We will be starting with the first part, that is our slab tool, and then we go to its settings. So within the settings, now Archicad lets us have more control. So there is a concept called composite. There's a concept called basic, where there is one layer and multi-layer element. So in basic, I'm going for that, and considering that this is going to be built with reinforced concrete. So you can see there is a large library already. From there, I'm taking reinforced structural concrete. Also, I can set up what is the thickness of it. So I'm going for a 6-inch slab. So like that, we can set it up here. So one more thing is that we can always change our units and details within this. So right now you can see I'm working in feet and fractional inches. So let me get back to the settings and then just take reinforced concrete as the material. And I'll also typing it 6 inches. Or 0.5 feet, that will also give us 6 inches as well. And then I won't be working on rest of the detail, only focusing on the structural aspect, telling this is a load bearing element. And then I'm going to draw the outline of it. So one thing that we have is different way of drafting. So I'm using the rectangular drafting option for the slab. So which I will be taking it till here. And then I can take one of the corner point, and this is something that is there in Archicad, which will let us use the additional control on this using pet palette. So I'll use this add polygon option, and then I'm going to add these two segments as well to the slab, and you can see it is updating to this. So this is what we have when it comes to doing slab. Let us go to 3D. So we have this all the tabs here, and we'll move to the 3D, and then it is giving us the 3D model of that particular slab within this. So I think there is the screen really having issue with respect to the clarity? If it is there, I think I will try to relaunch the screen again. All right, I will continue. If any issues there, okay, all right. So there is issue with the screen sharing. Let me get back to screen sharing separately. So is it okay now? How the screen appears? All right, all right. So yeah. So we were working with that. So we added a slab. So next thing is that we will also add wall to this, considering some of the walls. So it's like the project we are actually doing like a cabin. So that is something that I would like to tell. So it is like a triangular structure, and we will be working with that. All right, so the screen is visible, I hope. Yeah. So we'll be working with the wall. So in the same way how we did the slab, we are going to a wall tool where we can now immediately set up a basic wall with, let's consider that we are building with the brick. So we are taking brick structural material. We will also set the wall thickness as 8 inches. So that is something that we can work with. So let me just see. I think I'm using a different keyboard. Yeah. All right, so 8 inches, and using this also I will add that these elements are non-load bearing instead of load bearing the walls. So what I will be doing is I'll be working on the bedrooms as part of the project. So I'll just flip the wall and create the external wall of the room. And you can see right now the structure is getting created for these walls, which will be connecting from ground floor to first floor. We will also just check immediately how it is being created. Yes, this is what we are looking at. Also, two other wall that we are modeling is these two walls, which will also be at the same level of this project. But we are adding additional two walls, which is going to be a little more taller. So we are going for something that is going to connect instead of first floor to second floor. And then these are going to be the element which is going to be connecting till the top. We will also connect it here. And you can see by default, because it's using the same material, it joins by itself. But if you are like, think about it, if you're doing it on a CAD software. So this is the first advantage that I would like to introduce when it comes to material joining and junction. It joins by itself depending on the material type. Also, I'm looking at some element here, but then you can understand that using these layers, I can turn off certain layer, like for example, these two. If I turn it off, it will remove that particular layer. So these are only part of my wall, and other part of is part of my shell of the building. So I'm just hiding that. Also, you can see there is a stair element added, which we'll be doing it very soon. We will also switch to the first floor of the project, where you can see right now I'm not able to see anything here. But Archicad has an option called trace reference, where you can define which reference I want, whether it is elevation, section, or another floor plan. So I'm going for below current story, which will be taking me to here. Also, I can fix the color of it, also the opacity of it. So now I can see what is actually happening below. Yeah, keeping that to this, so I will also consider, give me a second. Yeah, I'm also considering a slab which is happening on this particular level, which is going to be of the same size. So when I open it right now, you can see it's the same setting that I gave in the previous. So it is going to remember what property I have been given. So I'm just putting a slab on the top of this, and let's go to 3D and check what we have modeled. So this is what we have modeled it. I have forgot to add the upper floor and limit it. So right now you can see it's using 8 feet as a offset. So instead of that, if I get back to 0, means there won't be any offset starting exactly from here to here. So these are the level that you can use it to control. So one of the things that Archicad has is you can pick a parameter and then inject it to another element. So it is going to reflect on the basis of this. And also you can see as the concrete is a stronger structure when it comes to brick, into brick, it automatically does the trimming of the wall against that particular material. So these are some of the advantages, which again, we will be exploring in much depth later. So we will get back to this particular model and completing the shell. It is something that is going to be in a triangular shape. So what we do is we need to see an elevation from this side. So by default, Archicad creates these 4 elevations, which also will be reflecting here. So we can go to the south elevation, and it will give us something like this to work with. So here I'm going to design immediately some kind of structure, but then what I want is I want a 2D element to do certain calculations. So this is something that helps us. So Archicad has a dedicated 2D drawing, just like a CAD software. So you have now CAD and another software within another modeling software within Archicad. So that is one of the advantage. So I'm taking this polyline tool. You can see the moment I came close to the midpoint, I got a guide, and using the same guide, now I can do any type of modeling or drafting with that. Let's say in this project, I want to take a point from the mid and I want to take an offset of probably 5 feet. Probably it is little high, but then yeah, we can work with this. And then I'm also going to connect with this point, and you can see it created a blue line, which is more like a reference, and I'm taking it till here. So this is going to be our reference line to create. I will also mirror the same line to this. So we use Control M as a mirror option, and it creates a copy of that. One of the thing I want to address here is these 2D drafting lines are specifically 2D. It won't be appearing in 3D, but we have a different tool called Morph tool, which can be used how we work in any of the 3D modeling software. So this is something that we will be introducing in depth in the next session. But using that, I'm going to create a line which is to be seen in 3D. Now I have a set of lines here, which you are seeing. Also, I have the 3D line. So now if I get back to 3D, you can see that I have generated a line as a reference. Now using this, I can move it using the command move for Control D, which also allows me to take to where I want it. So I'm considering it here. And I'm going to use the same element to create a shell structure. So one of the things that Archicad has a tool called shell tool, which is an advanced modeling tool. The setting is same here. You set up whether it is a composite or simple. And let's say what material I wanted. So I'm going for reinforced structure again to construct this. Also, there are different method of doing. You have revolution, you have also extruded method, you have a ruled method. So we are going for extruded method here, but then we will be working a little advanced level of having a certain profile to this. So using this, you can see there are some constructed method in the info panel. So one of them is using a simple method, and one of them is using a detailed method. So using detailed method, the moment I click on it, I get a comment on the bottom part of the line where telling enter profile plane, click on a surface, linear edge or point. So using this, I'm going to consider this as the plane of drafting, and then I'm going to take this line as the reference to create the roof structure. Click on the last point again to stop, and now I will be able to extrude it. So this is one method of doing. So any type of profile, even if it is a circular domical structure that you want, you can immediately create using this method. So as you see, so this is the structure that we have created. We have also so many other options to work with when you click on this. So when I use this, I'll be able to stretch front and back. So I'm considering a little bit of projection to the front and back so that it will look a little better as well. Now using this, let's say here, if I notice, if I just move in the building and check, this is actually not a right way of doing it because there is a clash happening within the model. So I need to cut this piece out. So Archicad, now you see when I come back to the plan, it automatically show what gets cut and what is below. And if I get back to the first floor, I will be seeing in much more depth. If you remember, I use the reference option, so I'm still seeing what is happening below. So using the same reference, I can now cut out a shell structure. So what I will be doing is I'll be bringing front the reference, also reducing its opacity. So you can see right now I have this option of doing that. Now I can see what is happening below in the floor. So using the reference, I'm going to cut. So this is the shell tool that we have. I'll go to the corner point or any of these options to do any kind of edit. Otherwise, I can right click. There is option called create a hole in shell. So I'm going to take a reference from here and I will be going all around this particular wall. So I'm just taking it till here and then I will end up here. So you can see it created a hole for that shell structure. Same way, I will add one more thing. I mean, there are different method of creating an opening within this, but this is what I'll be using specifically for this activity. So I'll be taking it till here and then I'll be closing it. So now you can see two shell holes are created here. Now that issue of overlapping is being removed. So that is something that immediately we could do. Also this, like you can see that these two walls needs to be elevated little up till here to make it much better. So we have options in Archicad that will allow you to do edit. So I'm going for the stretch option, which will take both the walls at the same time to that level. Now we need to do some kind of trim to make the model better. So Archicad has another method now we are achieving, that will be using a trim option within the settings that will automatically understand which is the shell, which is the wall, and it will take a cut out of it. So let's say this is something that we had to create. We will also remove the reference that we have. So we had created base of that particular structure. Now, continuing to that, let's get back to the ground floor plan. And now we are going to add additional elements such as doors and windows to this. So we can see that there is a door here. So using the measuring option, I'm just going to check how much it is. So I'll consider it is a 5 feet door. So what I'll be doing is I can take a door option and then go to the settings. Now within the setting, you can see there is a larger collection of different type of doors that is available. So I'm considering something like this, a door, but then I want a double door. So I can again go through a different option, and we have the option here to do with it. So I will use something like this. And then what I'm going to do is I will be doing certain edits to this, make it look like more than what is there in the CAD. So I have how it is in the plan section and plan elevation and 3D. So I'll consider this as the base. I'm going for 6 feet in total. So considering okay, I can go for probably 8 feet. That would be much better. So I can have a 6 feet door and both the side 1 feet, something like that. Now the door panel. So I can customize the door panel to something. So you can see it automatically updated here. And I can also go and control the frame width, how it is. And these are the GFC level of detail that we can edit. I can also add a handle, which probably is something which is in the library, or also I can create something new. So I keep something with, there is an option to control. So I'll keep uniform handle. So it will be on both the sides. I will continue to the settings and I'll consider both the sides. I want a grid panel to this. Now you can see there's a grid added to one side, but if I go for uniform option, I can have it on both the sides. Let's work with this. I will also have no height elevation from the level 0. So I will maintain that. And then what I'll be doing is I'll be defining where is the opening. And the moment I open, you can see it fit to that 5 feet door size and also the side panels. So we can check the model that we created. So it added that particular thing with the specific material palette that we have in this. We'll also look into additional doors. So we'll consider this is a 3 feet door, which it is there. So we will go to the settings. It's the same process that we are following every single time. We can take a door and then we can set up. So this is a 3 feet door, considering that. Also there is height. So I'll consider 7 feet as the height of the door. And then I will not give a transparent one, but I'll go for something that is solid. Here, if you want to, for example, change the material. So I'm changing from wood to something that is black in color. So I can just type what term I want it and the library will give me some options. So I'm going for ivory black and you can see it updated the door panel depending on what I give. There are also additional settings such as threshold, casing. So I'm going to remove casing and you can see it has become a complete model. So I'll use the same thing. I'll place the door and open it to which side I want it. I'll use the same door to this side. And you can see the setting again reflects. Get back to 3D. Okay, we will also add an additional door to this element as well. Now, one more door for the toilet. So instead of 3 feet, I'll keep the same material and palette and everything. I'll keep 2.5 feet. And now you can see it created. Automatically, it converts 2.5 feet to 2 feet 6 inches for me. So I'll use the same thing and I will also populate this towards this side. So now that is also added into the model. Now let's check that in the 3D. So this is the door that we have and also additional doors that we placed. So we have modeled this many numbers to that. Now let's add some windows. So you can see there is a bay window here, which is little interesting. So what we will be doing is we'll go to the window tool. So it's the same as exactly same as what is the door tool. Only thing is we'll be looking for a bay window. So if I type bay, it will give me options that are there within this and also in the cloud, what is there in the library online as well. So some of them are already there in the system. So I'll go for a square bay window, and you can see there are certain settings already there, which is using triangular structure and things like that. So I can always go to each of these settings here, the parametric aspect of this, so which will be completely helping you moving away from a CAD software. So you're controlling each and every part of it, creating a drawing. So here you can see there is an upper transom to this model, which let's say if I want it, I can keep it or remove it. So these are the parametric aspect. And then again, roof. So if I want a roof, but not pitched, but flat, it automatically updates when I change the parameter. So the base also I'm converting to flat. Now I can change both the dimensions. So the roof right now is going something like a 2-inch, and then the base is going as 5-inch. So if you are constructing a slab, you can decide what dimension it is, and it is going to reflect it. And there are further settings that we can go and control. So right now, sashes, if I give a grid, it automatically upsets the grid window. You can also control so many options within this. So this is the main aspect. The moment you change something, everywhere it is changing. So using that, let's say I'm going to place it here, and you can see there is a dimension difference because I did not set the dimension. But Archicad has an option to change it in model. So you can see I'm just using any of this node to stretch. One more thing is that you can always create a model, customize a window and door, and add to the library. So there is always a possibility that is given by Archicad for us to work with. And also you can define which starting point. So I'm using the starting point as a reference to make. And you can see I changed something here, use the same property, and I added it here. Let's go for a different type of window altogether. And that is going to be something a basic window. So within that, I will use 3-panel window, but I want it sliding. So you can go for sliding category, like a 3-panel window. You can see how it is in the 3D. So I'm avoiding the top division. I can also do same way, uniform frame width, and also I can customize uniform sashes, so it will be equal. So whichever type I change, everywhere it will reflect the same. I'm going to add that particular window. So let's say instead of 3, I want 2. So that will be much better in this project. So I'm going to place a window to this particular side because we may have certain intersections at that point because we have a sloping structure happen. Let's get to 3D and see what is created. So here, if you notice, because I did not consider sill height or any type of detail, it has come here. Imagine you are doing it on a software where it is not parametric. It is going to be really difficult for you to work. And it automatically cut out the wall with this. So now if I get back the sill, so sill right now is 2 feet. 3 feet. So if I get back to 2 feet, it automatically moves down all the options and create on the basis of how we are giving. So we always have the option of controlling in 2D and 3D. And it again updates in the 3D if you are giving any kind of information both the ways. The 3D and 2D or 2D and 3D, both the ways we have the option. So we added windows as well. So let's work on 2 additional windows. So I'm going to take the property of this window. I can just place near this and this. So these are 2 additions that I'm creating to this. And you can see immediately I added a window. Also, we will be starting with some of the furniture elements in terms of the interior aspect of it. And always we should save the file so that we will not have any issues. Again, Archicad does auto save depending on what time we are giving. So it will be safe as well. Even if the system suddenly shut down or something like that, it will always have the backup file with you. So that is something that allows us to be safe at a safe level. So we will be starting with the furniture. So we will start with, so here some of the dimensions are troubling me in the model. So I can always, like I mentioned, we can go back to the settings and then let's look for dimensions. So let's say annotation or dimension, something similar. There are doors, there are windows, there are pens, furnitures, stair railing. So if any layer is specifically done, so that depends on the CAD file. So if you have that particular drawing, so let's try to look into that. Okay, we will avoid it for now. But if you have something like annotation level, it's specifically done in the CAD file, it will be much better. So the layering is something that really important to work with. All right, so what I'll be doing is I'll be working with a bed. So I'll be just checking the measurement of this bed. which is right now is 6 feet by 7 feet, which is there. So I'm going for a different size altogether. So we can go to the object library. So here objects are where the furnitures and things like that are set. So within the library, again, you have a categorized ordered element. So one of them is bed folder. So I'm going to look for something that is interesting. So let's say I'm going to take this particular object, and now I can set up the dimension. So the width is right now 6 feet 1 inches. So I'm going for 6 feet. And the length, I'm going to put it as 7 feet. So we can also change in 3D, and you can see it keeps updating what it is there. And these are the different type of frames that we have. We can also click on pillow, so that pillow will add. We also have the option to work with the material. So I can go through all these options and add material. So if I want the material of the pillow to be different or bed to be different, you can see immediately it does the update here. Now I'll place it here, and then I will take it from this to somewhere here. And you can see there is a size difference. So I'm going to stretch the model so that it will fit the CAD file. So if CAD is the proper one, you can always update to that particular option. I'm going to make a copy using Ctrl+Shift+T. So you can always just click on the point and just use the move option within Pet Palette as well. And you can create a duplicate within that. So you see that we can add 2 beds. So in the model. Also, there is one cabinet here. So we will again go back to our object tool. Let's say we are setting for a wardrobe. So if I type wardrobe, it will give me different options. So I'm going for something like this. And then now I can start editing the options within this. So you can see there are different type of storages. So it's some kind of pattern it is there. So if I'm going for a single one or a double one or 3 panel, it will always update to that. You can also change the pattern which is there. Like there is right now, it is using a mirroring option to do this. If I go for uniform panel, all of them will be same. I can also work with different type of panel type altogether. So these are all the main meaning is that the parametric means this. So your change that you are doing in any of the settings will update in all the aspect of it. So here you can see I can either stretch and reduce the size to something that is fitting. And here also I'm using something similar. So I will use the mirror option, and then I will update somewhere here. So I think I did not make a copy. So I'll do that as well. So now I'll just speed up the process of doing the model because some of the things are going to be repetitive. So I'll go to the settings again. Now let's search for a dining table. So it gives me some option. I will take something like this. And if you want it on fall side, you can do that and place. And this is also a parametric object. So let's say I'm taking something here, and then you can see it fits with the size. But if I change this, increase it, it is going to increase the number of seats as well because it's doing the calculation by itself. One of the main advantage of it. Same way in the object library, we can look for sofa probably, and then it gives me large list of library of sofa. Then these are all built in. So I'm going to avoid the side seats, and you can see it is going to fit perfectly of how it is. So Control E is a command that we usually use for rotating certain elements, and you can see I have placed it where I want it. Also, we will be adding a kitchen. So we'll go into the settings again, and within the settings, we will be typing kitchen. And then this is something that we are looking at. I'm going for L shape, and also I'm going to avoid tall cabinet. So I won't be repeating the part of this parametric aspect. I'll be just removing certain things that I'm not interested. And then I will place it. And you can see I have a model here. And then this particular model, I will be taking and rotating. Right now, if you notice, I'm doing everything in the 2D itself and not focusing on 3D at all. But it is actually making a difference there, which I'll be taking you immediately. So I'm taking, you can see there is a refrigerator here. So I'll be placed somewhere here, and then immediately I can change the dimensions and you can do the adjusting there. I'll also add a washing machine, sorry, a wash basin somewhere here. So depending on the design, how we want it, we'll also add a tall cabinet, sorry, wall cabinet somewhere in this model as well. Now, 2 more things. We can also add the toilet options, which is not there in this. So we have option either from here or maybe object separately. So under we have an option for equipment. So one of the things that we use is equipment to this. So using that, if I just type WC, I get WC, and then now I can type check for which type, wall type, floor mounted, wall mounted. So I'm going for wall hung and taking something like this. And then also I'll add something that is a little bit different there. So I can probably add it somewhere here. Or, I mean, again, it's part of the design. I'm not focusing onto that. So we can add that. We can also check for probably shower. So shower could be from MEB or even from the object library. We can take it. So I'll take a shower cubicle itself. And then this is the object that comes with, and it also comes with MEP connections. Again, we will be looking little more in detail about that. We will finally add one sink. So there are some sink options. So I'm going for something like a basin cabinet. Something looks a little better than that. So let's move around and adjust this aspect. So yeah. So majority of the objects are done for this project. Let's get to our thing. So one thing that I have not added is that I just added randomly the model, but if you see all the models are floating. So the main issue for that is in the settings, you have an option to set up the base height from the ground. So right now everywhere it's 4 inches considering the tile. So if I get back to 0, it will come back to the level 0 and it will keep it. And you can see it fit perfectly within the model. We can also walk in through the model. Let's say in this model 3D, I want the door to be open or something like that. So we always have the option. So there is a parametric aspect to that. So if I put 90°, the door will open for me. So it gives me the bed. So this is the color that I gave. That's why it is like this. Our bay window is here. And then some of the other features as well. So we have all these elements added. Now, one of the thing is that I need to add 2 stairs to that. So I'll just move this, keep it to a side because now I don't want to use that. So one of the tool that Archicad uses extensively to make the model better is one of the thing is stair tool. This is something that I really like it. So here what we do is we define from what height to what height. So I'm going for a flexible type where I can just set how many numbers I want. And then using that, I'm just leaving the settings exactly at her where it is 6 inches riser, and then width is probably I'll give 5 feet. And then we will start from a point and then just draw. And I've just stop it here, and then I'm going to move it to this model. Now I'm not focused on what is the size or how much it is. So I think 5 was a little bigger. So we will put it for it itself. And then I will take the point to this side. But in 3D, you will notice that because I did not consider where it starts, where it ends, it is like this. But we can always do those such kind of edit immediately in the 3D as well to do the edit. Now, if I get back to this, it is going to update on the basis of what was there. Now, I'll also mirror using the center point here, but actually there is a little difference from the center point that we constructed in the drawing. And then, yeah, using that, now we have this model that is created within this. So we'll go to the first floor and we have this wall, and I want to add a little interesting circular window to that model. So again, it's option to just search for special windows probably. And we have, okay, a multi-sided window is there. So that is also something that I can use it. So what I'll be using is I'll just take and place it here. Let's say it updates in the 3D, how we want it. So immediately we are getting 2D and 3D here in this. And continuing with the stair tool that we have, we will get back to the stair tool. But in this time, what we will be doing is we'll start from ground floor to first floor. So it's automatically telling it's 8 feet, and then you need 16 steps to reach on the top. So we will maintain the same thing, but instead of 5 feet, I'm going for 3 feet wide window. There are certain rules in staircase which is going to do the calculation by itself. But now, instead of seeing what right now, I want to see what is happening on the top. So my reference is now changed to above current story, and then I'm going to bring that particular reference. So you can see it automatically started showing me what is happening on the top by changing this. So I'm going to build something from here. So I'm going to do it separately and get it back. So you know that we need to create a total of 16 steps. So I'm going for 8-step riser, and then I'm going to change it from here to this. And you can see it automatically created a landing for me. So that is one of the great advantage that Archicad is giving me. So I just rotate it, and then I can always adjust on the basis of where I want to do model. So I'll take it back here. So this point. So just considering as part of the design how we want it. Or let's say this would have been a much better option, then we can go for that. I'll also make a copy on this side, a mirror copy, and then we can do that. So like you are seeing most of the tools that we have. So what you're seeing is a reference in the red color. So I just adjust it to that, and you can see. We'll also get back to 3D and check how it is. So we have added, but then in the design, this is not a monolithic whole structure. I want it with a steel structure. So what we do is we just change the structure to beam structure, and you can see it automatically added to that. I will also convert to the thread. We can also work with the support connection that is also within Archicad that helps us do the model much better. So I'll use bisector as the support connection here. And now you can see immediately I added that particular option. Railing also one of the tool that we have in terms of modeling. So I'm using magic wand tool. This is something that will detect a boundary, and then we can immediately do the modeling. So yeah. So we have created railing as well for the structure. Again, we can do railing for this as well using the railing tool, but we won't be going into that. So get back to our ground floor, and let's say we need to add certain structural aspect of it. So we'll use columns and beams to create this particular model. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to the column tool. So like we remember we are using 8-inch wall. So we'll go for a column that is made of, again, reinforced concrete. So we have a reinforced concrete structural, and it is a load bearing element. So that is also something that we will add. But the size we are going to change from 8 inches to 1 feet. So it is going to update on the basis of that. I'm going to randomly place the column. It is going to use a center reference, but always I can change the corner reference to that. So you can see by using the corner reference, it is taking 8 feet by 1 feet column here. So I'll also make a copy one to this side. Then I will also make a copy that will help us here. But then you can see right now, this is not a good idea to make. So I can always go back to the option. So right now it is 8 inches by 1 feet. So I can go for 1 feet by 8 inches instead. And then it now updated to this. So with the same thing, I'm going to get one more copy to this side, and the same column, same size, I'm going to make a copy towards this area. And you can see I immediately added a couple of columns and beam within the structure to make it much better. So I will also add certain elements. We can always control how it visualize and where it sees and things like that. So right now we'll be not focusing on some of the elements here and focus only where we want it. So here, if you notice, it's not in the right place. So just take it back to this. Yeah. Two other elements. So instead of we are changing the size, we can also work with rotation as one of the option to work with these columns. So we have all the columns ready. We can also work with the beams in the same way. So we just have to fix the material as a reinforced structure. So the width I'm going for 8 inches itself, just like the wall. Also, always remember in Archicad, we have to work with load bearing and not bearing for a better outcome. So we will work with this, and let's see where it creates. So I'm not working on where it is going to be placed. So 1 feet is the height, or 1.5 feet. So depending on how we want it. So now you can see it appears here, but then it is at level 0 because I have not worked on that particular beam. So you can see that I added a plinth beam immediately within that particular setting. So we can always work with that. So with the same settings that we have, I can always add this model. So I will start from here. I think I made a small error by not specifying the column here. So that is something I laid it. I'm using this reference, make a copy to this side. Yeah. And I'll use the same to bring the options to create that. So you can also use, instead of center line for the beam, we can work with edge also as a reference so that it will be much faster to work with. So it just that is not a necessity to work only in one type particular format for the work. So I won't be going much into drawing the beams aspect of it. I'll just finishing the basic of this. So just immediately do the model. So you can always do the edit, make it efficient model within this. So I'm taking a reference of that and then creating something like this. And one thing you have to remember that why I'm giving that load bearing property, that is going to make sense right after I finish this. Yeah. So I think I have to use the center. All right, so I created the plinth beam structure to this. So you can see it updated in the 3D depending on how we added. We did not bring the columns down, so that's why it is in that place. But what we are going to do is with the same thing that we have, we will select all the beams, and then we have the option of moving it up to a specific layer. So that is here in 8 feet. Also, we can change ground floor to first floor as the reference. And then when we put enter, it is going to connect to that particular layer. One more thing is that shell structure also demands it to be classified as if it is then load bearing structure. Now, how it is going to help us is within the same place, I can now change the structure to entire model without finishes, core model, or core of load bearing. So this is where it's going to make sense. So the moment I change that, you will be seeing. So this is the NEP part of it. That's why you're seeing it here. Again, if it is an object, you won't be able to see. But you can see now I am focusing only on the structure aspect of it. If I get back to entire model, now I'm seeing. So this is one advantage. You can immediately communicate with engineer and structural engineer. So that again, I will be talking more on the third and fourth sessions on this aspect of it. Now let's little focus on the additional documentation options. So one of the things that we have is what I will be doing is I'm going to select all the walls in the project, and then I want to take the dimensions of it, right? So one tool that Archicad has is, so under document, there is annotation where automatic exterior dimension. So what it does is you can set up certain dimensions where we want it, how we want it, and then I can place it on all 4 sides. So I'm going to consider placing it at this level. And now you will be seeing all the dimensions of the whole project. So you can understand how immediately I created a documentation. Now it is right now in meters, so I'm going to change it back to feet and inches. Now I'll be getting in feet and inches as well. Let's keep it into meter itself. Again, second part of it, if you want to do it manually, you can always go to the settings of that particular thing, and you can control what color, what type of line, what type of, if you want architectural tick or something like a dotted, let's say I want to work all with red color. So I can always work with that as well. And then I'll give okay. And now if I start doing the documentation, so let's say we are getting the dimensions here. Now, within this case, from here to here, let's say I want to have multiple places annotated. So one thing we can do is we can always select and using the control key, and it keeps adding to where we are clicking. So it speed up your documentation as well. And you can clearly see how easy it is to even do a documentation in this project. And additional to this, let's say I want to check what height it is this. So one of the tool that we have is level dimension. So if I use the level dimension tool, it will tell me that it is at 0 level from the starting. So that is ground level I consider at 0. If I go to first floor, click on this slab, it will tell me it is at 2 meter, 2.4 meter. So I'm immediately getting the level of that within the model. Otherwise, we imagine you have to keep going then typing every single time. But here it is a great advantage. Now we worked on that as well. Let's say one of the drawing that is a core of load bearing, where we focus only on the beam and columns and some of the structure. So you can see some mistakes that we have done. We can immediately correct it within this itself. So I'll do that also. And what I'll be doing is additional to that. Let's say I want to label all the columns for the structural drawings. So I will hide this as well. So we have layers. So we'll using that layer. What we will be doing is we will find the ID of each of the columns. So if I just click normally, it will tell me that ID is CRE001. So for this particular column. So I can change how the annotation is using different type of tools. So like you can see right now, it has become a different type altogether. I'll go for like 5 mm size for this. Also, I can control where it is, how it appears and things like that. So we always have complete control on our documentation. So I'll just take to this. So using this, let's say in this project, you have so many type of columns. So what we do is we can always go to document tools. There is label selected elements. So for that, we have to select all the columns. So in this case, that is what we are going to do, only the column part of it. So we go to document, label annotation, label selected elements. You can see with the same thing, I'm getting all the columns labeled. Right now I created copies, so that's what you're seeing. But there are additional option of working with so listing extras. There is ID manager where you can do all the columns with a specific ID system that you wanted. So it is going to ID each of the element with a certain rules. So I'm going to put one particular thing for text that is going to be C, and then I can add text again with one element that is going to be a hyphen, and then I can use a counter for counting the element. So if I click on it, right now all the columns have been renamed to a new row, and you can see automatically it updated for me in the drawing. So that is a major advantage when it comes to that. You have so many other options when it comes to doing this kind of documentation. For example, grid, if you want to do. So we can use certain guidelines to make it much better. So these are the guidelines that we are creating for this. So I'll just take a couple of them and create that. So you can see there is a small shift for the model. I mean, we can always correct it on the basis of how we did the model. So I'll just correct it here as well. There are two beams. So we can connect to this. Yeah. So what I'll be doing is I have the reference. Now I can use our documentation for this. That is the grid element tool, where we can set a what type of line type you want to work with, line or line type, any type. You want to see it on all stories. Also, what type of options you want it in section, if you want different color, if you want certain rules. So right now I'm going for A, B, C, D as the numbering. So I'm going to just take here to here, and you can see automatically it created A. It created B. I'm not doing any change because it is automatic part of it. Now I'm changing the rule to 1, 2, 3. So when I work on 1, 2, 3, now if I put, you can see that first one is automatically 1, second one is 2, third one is 3, and fourth one is 4. So it does the numbering by itself. So I just remove the guideline, and you can see immediately I was able to do such kind of documentation here. Now we will also add one section to this project to do the conclusion part of it. So I'm going to cut a section through these elements. And now that section is going to be added into this. So I'll use cut section for this. And if I open the section here, you will be seeing, yes, I have added a section wherever it is getting cut. But you see, I'm seeing only the load bearing element of it. If I switch it back to entire model, I can see all the elements which are there in the project. So like this, immediately you can create different type of elements here. So what I'll be doing is I'll be adding this particular set of drawings into our view list. So I'm going to redefine certain things. So this is going to be our ground floor for this project, but I want to focus only on every single element. So you are seeing every single thing in this. So I won't be doing much change to this, but we will be focusing on that in the next session. So we are adding those particular things. So right now this is the ground floor. And then I will also add one more ground floor drawing, but I'll be naming it as probably structural. So this particular option, I will be turning off the option of the entire model to only structural. Now I can save this as a different option. So now we have multiple drawings, including a section. Let's also work on one of the elevation, that is the south elevation. But we have to make it a little better by adding the textures and surfaces. So we have the option of creating much more documentation in this. So I can add a texture to this, and then we'll be adding a shadow to that. And it gives interesting elevation for us just by doing certain. But again, you can make it much more better by adding more texture and details. Now, this also I will add to the view with whatever setting is there. So these are 4 different views that we will be plotting for our sheets. Now, one of the things that we do is we can immediately use drag and drop options. So we have one master layout here created where certain things are auto text. Auto text will make it faster to work with. So right now I'm using A4 as the option to create. So you can see drawing name is auto text. Status is auto text. So it refers an information in the projects I'm going to give you, including scale. I will also add date for this. So I'll just type date, and then I will add the auto text of date from the project. So you can see this date. So I'm not working on any of the other options. You can see it's automatically showing today's date. What I'll be doing is selecting all the views that we created, just drag and drop into this. Now you can see it created 4 sheets for me. So if I go to elevation, the first sheet, You can see, so the X section, automatically it added, it renamed telling it's a building section, the scale is this. If I go to ground floor, I have the drawing here, but then you see the scale is different. I'll go from a custom, instead of 1:100, let's say I'm working with 75. It changes. Let's say if I want to 1:125. So you can see immediately it updates to what information we are giving. So we will go with probably 150. Not a standard section, but we can just for the showcasing purpose, because we are working with only small amount of detail, and you can see it comes with what setting was there. Now your structural section, what you have, sorry, such structural upper floor plan. So you can see immediately that also added into this project with only the structural part of it. I'm going to change the scale, this also as 150. And you can see right now, this is what ground floor, the structural, and then what is the scale. So right now it is using a specific scale in the master layout. What we can always use is we can always go to this and make it type for scale. So you have drawing scale and original scale. So if I go to drawing scale in the master layout, not in the sheet, get back to this, it shall mean that it is 1:150. So it is automatic for you. So you don't have to worry about changing the date or changing the scale the moment you do any changes. Greater advantage, save a lot of time. Also the last one, we have the elevation. We can also add and mix so many sheets and create. Now going to publisher set. This is just brief, but we'll be explaining more in the later sessions. What we do is we can use all these drawings. So let me just get back and create a new publisher set. So I'll be creating a set. So this set, let's say we are in the schematic stage. So I'm naming it as schematic. Into this drawing, I'm going to add all the sheets that I created. So we can select them. We can add a shortcut. So whatever is there in the project is going to come here in terms of this. So I have now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sheets, including the sheet index automatically added. Now I can tell that what format I want to export to. So what I'll be doing is I'll consider desktop as the option to export it. And then I can create a single PDF file or multiple PDF files. So we go for single PDF file for now. So we will select that this is going to be a PDF, and then I will save. And then what we can do is we can get to this and click on the one we want and click publish. Now what it does is it is going to give me those sheets which I created into one single PDF. So immediately if I get back to desktop, now you can see there is a PDF added with all the drawings that we have added into this. So first is you have the section of this, you have the plans, you have immediately this, and also the elevation. Now this is one option. The second part of it, we can always export the same thing into a BIMx option. So I'm just changing the type from a PDF to BIMx. So this is where I'm going to introduce you to BIMx, and you can see the same thing on phone as well. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using some editing settings in this detail in the desktop itself, but I'm going to publish it as a BIMx file. So what it does is right now it is going to publish this particular model as a BIMx data. You can also add one of the 3D options. So right now I did only the sheets, but let's say in the project, I wanted 3D model also. So this is something that is an advantage when it comes to Archicad. So we can take the perspective that you're working at, just drag and drop into our publisher set. So we will make a copy of this from here. So this is generic perspective. And also I will add one more, but this one, I am going to check it as only this particular view. So now we have 3Ds. So I'm going to add that also into the publisher set that we created. So 2 3D files. And then I'm going to click on publish again. So we have now all the 3D and all the sheets. Publish again. Now all of them are becoming one single file where you have both 3D and 2D. So we will try to immediately visualize this on the basis of how we want. So by the time it creates, I would like all of you to just look into what BIMx is. So BIMx is a application that is created along with Archicad. So if you have a project done in Archicad, you can share the file, and BIMx is completely free. There is no cost to that. You will be able to visualize the same thing in any of the project that you have in any of the devices, whether it is an Apple, whether it is Android phone, whether it is a computer. So you can visualize 3D. So this is what you have right now. By the time I think this will be exporting. So we have the 3D file here, and then it has associated drawings. So you will see the same thing on your phone, and you can see these blue dots are different drawings. So if I click on it, it will take me to open in 2D. So it will take me to that particular drawing which is there in the project. So this is the same way you will be seeing it on phone, and you can see the floor plan that has been created has been exported along with the model. You can visualize the same thing on phone. Also, there are schedules that you can work on. Schedules we will be talking much more on the next session. Also, so many sheets that we have within the project, we'll be able to see whether it is sections, elevations, details. So if I want to go from here to the floor plan, immediately I can switch to that. So again, when I click on 3D, it will take me to that particular 3D model that I have. And then I can click and remove certain things. So I don't want here, so I can just hide the drawing. I can also hide this cut section that is being created. So we can turn it off as well. So information is what we get it from here. For example, this sofa that we have, if you want the information, you can go for the information. It will give you all the information to that. So this is the major part of the BIM. Again, we'll be looking into more aspects. So the file that we created here is already exported as a BIMx file. If I get back to our desktop, we'll just refresh it. Yeah. So the same file that we created, we have it. So there are two 3Ds that I created. It will take me to exactly that model. So you will be able to see the same thing on phone. So this is the model that we created, if you remember. And if you just click on here, info, so I'll be able to get, so it's a furniture, it's the ID, this is the detail, these are the extra whatever elements that we are having it. Also, same thing, if I go to the another section that we have, that is specifically the load bearing element. So we can have all the 3D and 2D within the options as well. And you can see immediately I can switch to my drawings and go through all these things. If you need to measure something, you can immediately measure. So all these options are available when we do this particular publish. Now, so we have a quiz. Can we take the quiz, or is it going to be longer? If you guys are interested, we can do a quiz. So it will be helping as well to understand how much of things that we have grasped. So you can just use the QR code and scan to the page. It will give us. So Satish sir, if you are available. Be sharing the link to this. So let me just stop the screen share. And we'll get to the presentation. Yeah, you can start asking your questions here. At the same time, I'll also keep the link open for you to join the Q&A session. Yeah, you can start adding. We will be giving, like, we'll try to at least 10 minutes. We'll give it to that, or 5 minutes. Make sure your questions, you have also your email ID and your name along with the question. So if you're not able to answer your question directly, we will be mailing you with the answers and details. So you can add that as well. So if you're interested into a Q&A, you can join. You can just take your phone and then you can join the session. So I'll also keep in. So you can start with this. Yes. So you can add your names to here, to this question. I'll also keep the query here. So make sure the questions that we have, you guys answer to that, so that we will understand how much of it was easier. At the same time, you can also add in the chat the questions that you have to this. So we will go to the first question that we have. So we have a couple of responses already. We will switch to the next tab that we have. So this is the first question that we have. Yeah, I'll also keep the query. So have you heard of Archicad, or have you used Archicad before? we'd like to know. This is the first thing that we are looking at. Yes, you have heard about it. Okay, you have heard about it. Good. So it's good to see some of you have already heard about it, or some of you have used it. So it's really good. So yeah, so one thing is that I think now you have a basic idea of how it works, how Archicad works, how it is different from a CAD software, how easy it is to create a simple model within a very small time, including its sheets and documentation, 3D and all the details. So I think you have a basic idea of how it works. So that is the main idea of the whole webinar itself, to understand how easy it is to switch from CAD to the software, how fast you can do rest of the work. So this will be one of the questions. So yeah, some of you are already ready. So I'll also keep the QR code open for that. So you can join anytime, and you can also add. We will also have details given to that. So yeah. So we'll move to the first question of this. So this will be specifically for the technical aspect. So try to do the answer fast so that it will also add certain. So is importing DWG available in Solo? So that is the first question. We have 15 seconds. So you have already seen certain things. So you can put the answer here as well. Yes, some of you are typing in chat as well. Good. So yeah, the first answer is yes. So that is the first thing that I did in the demo. I have just dragged and dropped the DWG file, and it came with all the layers and all the details. So that was the first thing of this. Now we'll move to the second questions. So now in this, you can try faster to finish the question. So is Archicad Solo a BIM software? So I think it's a tricky question, but I think you have an idea of what BIM it is and how much can you explore. So yeah, so one of the option is it's a BIM software. No, it's not 2D drafting software. It's only for modeling. So which of the things that do you think it is? So yes, so the answer is it is a BIM software. Most of you have answered it correct. It's a BIM software itself, where you will be able to do almost all part of it to this. So go to the next question. 8 of you are ready. So we'll switch to that. How can we use BIMx? So you already saw how I use BIMx immediately. I mean, we have more session that is completely on that coming soon. But yeah, how can we use BIMx? By paying $400, can't use with Solo, publish to BIMx file, export to PDF and open. So yes, publish to BIMx file. All of you have done the same thing. So I think you have an idea of BIMx. Please go to whichever application store that you have, App Store or a Play Store that you have, download BIMx on your phone, try to see some of the files that are already there given to you and check. So we have a tie with so many people. Okay. So I think Tom is the top scorer in this. Congratulations for scoring almost. I think all the answers are correct in yours. So that's good. So we will get back to this, and we have this is where the lucky draw is going to be. So congratulations. You can scan this. It will take you to Google form, and it's a Microsoft form where you can put your name and some of the details for the query that we are giving. And whoever is registering to this will be going through the lucky draw, and there will be a price like mentioned, 1 year of Archicad Solo subscription will be available to the person. So make sure to log in and put all the details necessary for us to communicate with you. So if you don't give the email ID or number, it will be difficult. So you know that. Yeah, it was really great session with everyone. And you can also add any questions here with your name and email ID added in the chat as well. So we will be contacting you or sending you the answers to that. I saw some 2 questions were there. I think I answered during the session itself, including creating a parametric tour. So there are options to create a custom created. So you can create a model directly in the Archicad software, or we can also create some of the elements using GDL coding. So there are two methods that we usually use for doors and windows and details like that. So centerline drawings, I think I already showed and it is clear about that. Yes, if there is any questions, please add in the chat box. At the same time, please log into this particular link and make sure to add all the details so that we can add you into the lucky draw. So the same link will be given to all the options. One question, can we use magic wand to place slab, wall on a DWG file? Yes. So there is a method to do that. So when I used a DWG file, I directly added a view. So what I can do is there is an option to explode it. So it will explode it into individual lines and details like that. And there are additional things we usually do called consolidation of the hatches and the lines. So it will make like if some AutoCAD, like, when you make most of the lines, like on the top of one line, there can be so many lines. So when we use magic wand tool, it will try to detect the lines which are there. So we do consolidation within Archicad, which will cut down almost all the errors. Like if there are multiple lines overlapping, it will take into one single line. Then using that line, you can construct slab, you can construct wall. So it will take a region and create the model for you. It's pretty fast. Yes, we can use this for creating schedules. So right now for this session, we won't be talking much about the schedule aspect. We will be talking in the next session. But yes, so whatever model we created right now, there is already an automatic schedule created within the software. So I think probably I can just show that just immediately. So I'll keep the options here. So this is the file that we have, right? So by default, there is already a schedule created. So this schedule, I just show one and then I'll explain about it in the next session probably. So if you notice here, wall schedule already with all the ID, what is the size, what is the type already created for me. So this is a by default built-in. So if I go to all the opening schedule, it will give me all the schedule by default. So each of the preview and everything I will get. So what I would suggest is in the next session, we will be in depth talking about taking the column details or beam schedules. So immediately you can do any type of documentation in terms of one is drawing, one is scheduling. We can immediately do that. Without exporting to lines, can we not do? If we export the file size heavy. So I think I'm understanding about exporting into lines. So what it is like, if you are using a view, it's just like an image that you're importing. So if you have worked with some of the CAD software, we usually drag and drop a PDF and try to convert that to a line. So it is always best to convert that to an element which is there to work with it. So I would always suggest export into lines, but you will still have the same CAD file reusable. So you have the view already within that. So it will not become heavy. So one thing that you can do is before doing the exploding, you can limit the view. You can also hide the layers that you don't want it, and then you can do that. So there is an option. Can we use actual material and paint shade cards in the model? Yes, of course. So I'll be talking more about attributes in the coming session. So some of the attribute is to create new material, new surfaces, new textures, new lines, new hatches. So you have complete control of how you appear. Right now, I use just one material, two material. One is concrete and the another one is, I think it is brick. So whatever material I used on the third, it is coming with a surface, but then you can always create. Yes, we can also custom create templates. So what you're seeing right now, when I started the project was a custom template of interface. Same way you can create custom template for all your drawings. You can custom template all the materials. Like you can just save it as a favorite in the project. So next time you don't have to go to the settings and again. You can always do that. So you have the option of custom creating the templates. So we have one more minute. I think we will close the session for today. And I hope everyone has voted here. In this, you have also added your comments and your details for the lucky draw. Thank you so much, everyone. We will close the session. Hope you all a good day.